I like the idea of trying to be better than yesterday, to having a record and having like, okay, I can become better than yesterday's Gianfranco. And my first competition, I probably ended last in multi and in 3x3 blind. I think I had a pop at WDNF and I only made one round, so my results were not good, but I didn't care too much about it. When I break my second world record, I was more emotionally invested. I think I even cried of joy.
Gianfranco Huanqui is a world-class blindfolded solver. He has 3 world records for 3x3 blindfolded and a slew of continental records in all the blind events. He's podiumed at 2 different world championships for 3x3 and 5x5 blindfolded, and in addition to all of his high-level cubing accomplishments, he's also a world-class Yu-Gi-Oh player, applying his fast cubing mind to a completely different competitive discipline. Our conversation covers all sorts of topics, from how he trained to get fast, his experience on major broadcasts and cubing shows like The Brain China and Peru's Got Talent, and what it was like cubing with a brother, Juan Pablo Huanqui, who is also a world-class Megaminx solver. So please enjoy this conversation with Gianfranco Huanqui. And before we go, if you would do me a huge favor and double check if you're actually subscribed to the channel. A whole bunch of people have messaged me and said, hey, I love your content, but somehow I forgot to subscribe to the channel until just now. So just double check, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It helps the algorithm a lot.
So I teach kids online, and I also have like some teachers, so it's not only me. And then like that's like a project that I've been working this whole year. Besides that, like when I say projects, I also mean I sell cubes as well. Yeah, so I'm kind of doing some businesses related with Rubik's Cube because, well,
Yeah.
I developed a whole personal brand
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
on in that regard, so it makes sense. But then I also try to grind, like actually practice, so I don't so I can go back into my peak, because I think I'm not at my peak right now, but I think I can get it back.
Yeah. So you're very much still active with cubing. Like you're still grinding to be as competitive as you can. And it sounds like for work, most of what you do is related to it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Like I also give some shows, like some how can I say this? Companies hire me, so I give like a motivational show about Rubik's Cube, or maybe just an entertainment show. Like you could hire a magician,
Mm-hmm.
but with the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
actually really
So
curious about that because I noticed that you and your brother have both been on like a variety of like news broadcasts and shows, and you've got like a really interesting set of like you did the brain thing in China, you did the Peru's Got Talent thing. Dude, I went back in the archives and like found all these episodes that you were on. I loved the one
yeah,
where you were like underwater doing the blindfolded thing. Like it was so
I remember
overhyped, but it was
that.
also really fun. Like tell me about all those like media experiences. Is that something that you've like intentionally tried to like position yourself so that people will do content with you, or is that something that kind of like the first one
No,
just
no.
happened and it's just gone from there?
It so when I had the first opportunity, and it was like how do I say this in English? Talentos, like bounty hunters, something like that. Like
Oh, yeah.
a talent hunter. I don't know how to say it. That these people that are looking for talents, and they were like, "Hey, we have Perugo talent. You should join. You should
Talent
give it a
scout.
shot." Yeah, that. So they contact me, and I was like, "I'm not sure. Like, first of all, no way I'm winning that. But what could I gain from this exposure?" And then my main goal was to have the best performance as I could, to break PRs and maybe some national or continental records.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was 2014. No, just PRs. I wasn't ready for records yet. No, maybe I was. It's kind of blurry, the past. But it was 2014, and my goal was, okay, I'm gonna accept this because it's gonna force me to handle my nerves better. Like if I can solve it on TV, then when I go into a tournament, I will have more experience. So it makes sense. So I tried just because of that reason, and then it actually worked. Like I did a good show, and nobody knows this, but I actually started that Perugo Talent project with my brother. We were
Cool.
together in the first audition that it was off screen, but then he decided to give up, to quit. He didn't want to continue.
Mm-hmm.
He had his own reasons. I never actually understand fully why, but then I had to become a solo act, and I like we had no ChatGPT to discuss ideas or brainstorm easier, but
Yeah, yeah.
I had to come up with ideas on my own, also researching online, and then that's how I figured out my acts. Um, the interesting part is that they told me, hey, don't save your ace for later. Like you have to do the best, and if you qualify for the next round, then find a new best. But you gotta give your best because if you save something and then you don't qualify, it's worth nothing. So that was my game plan. Every show or sketch that I did, I had no plan B. I just had to reinvent the wheel like 3 times in a row. So when that finished, I think it actually worked because at some point that was like for half a year from the first round to the finals, and
Hmm.
at some point I got a CR, a continental record in multiplying. So I think it actually worked. It worked. The idea of improving my performance, and then that's how I decided to start a personal brand. Like I was so introvert that I wasn't sure I wanted to become a personality until I won the Peru Got Talent. Like even when I was in the semifinals or finals, I didn't even have my own YouTube channel, for example.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, if I win, maybe then I will create it. Like I was so introvert. Like
yeah.
now I look it back, and I didn't need to qualify to start my presence online. But yeah, that's how it all began to improve in competitions.
There are so many questions I have now just off of what you said. Um,
Sure, sure, man.
so, okay, I'll start with this one. You talked about I will take these opportunities because I want to improve my performance in competitions. And it's from what you just said, I'm guessing you picked up cubing not because are you competitive or are you like did you start cubing
Oh,
because you like the
I'm
you like
sup
the
I'm
grind?
super tryhard. I
Okay.
am tryhard.
Well,
Like
yeah, I want
even
to talk
besides
about
queuing.
Yu-Gi-Oh as well. I want to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh as
Yeah,
well
yeah,
because the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff is
that's true.
super interesting to me. But like when you started cubing, the competition atmosphere, is that hard for you, exciting for you? Do you perform worse? Do you perform better? Like how has that shifted over time as you've done all these public exposure things?
I performed worst, but I liked the idea of trying to be better than yesterday, to having a record and having like, okay, I can become better than yesterday's Gianfranco.
Mhm.
That was my idea because at my first competition I probably ended last in multi and in in three blind. I think I had a pop, a double DNF, and I only made one round, so my results were not good, but I didn't care too much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um when did you decide to focus on three blind as opposed to multi? Like, did multi come first as terms of which one you
Um,
were trying to be good at?
See, was first. My first record was in multi, which was a CR because the national record was a CR. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then my records were in multi until some point where I decided like, okay, I should shift to blind because multi is so hard. Like there's a giant
Yeah.
world called Masco. I don't know if you know him, but he had a legendary multi-blind record of 41 cubes when back in the day the second place was like maybe 24 cubes, something like that. So like the distance between second
Yeah.
place and first place was so big that I actually got to be second place in the world in multi with
Mm-hmm.
26 points. But then I saw the distance to get 41 and it was too much.
It
And
was too
also,
much. Yeah.
and also the time that it requires to train multi, it's too much. Like you want to have a proper training, okay, that's 1 hour of a good rehearsal. You can do small multi attempts, but in my experience, the better practice was when you simulate the hour or you even surpass the hour. So you train your brain to handle that information for that long. So I didn't have that much time anymore because I was growing up. I had studies, work, etc. So three
Yeah.
blind was way easier to manage like my time. Okay, I could practice just an average of five. Like if I become fast enough and I begin to do it in 1 minute, less than 1 minute, then it's not as bad as 1 hour of multi.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, why did you narrow in on blind events specifically? Because I heard you
Oh,
talk
oh.
in a previous
Mhm.
interview about how like you and Juan Pablo both did 3x3, and then he kind of
Yeah,
branched off into one. You branched off into the. What caused this to be like? I
the
think this is
branch.
going to be my thing.
Yeah, yeah. So it is because I was bad at 3 by 3. So when I begin, there was a fever in my school. I was in my last year of high school, kinda, and there were like 100 or 200 uh, students in my school that were doing Rubik's Cube and probably faster than me. So I was like, okay, but I really like this, and I wish that I could show them that I am also good. And then instead of just grinding 3 by 3, I decided, okay, but is there something else? Like looking outside the box, and I found one-handed. I tried that. Still, people pick up really fast, and they became faster than me, like a lot of
Hmm.
students
Hmm.
in my school. And then I learned about blind, and nobody was ready to take the leap into actually learning blind, because also back in the day, guides in Spanish were not as good. Like I actually learned from a
Hmm.
really really bad guy that I don't recommend to anybody, but I actually learned it. So when I learned that, no one else in my school actually learned that as well. Like the difference or the imaginary wall. Because for me it was not that difficult,
Yeah.
but for a lot of people it's like, yeah, it's super different, super
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
difficult. Don't try it. But I was the only one who tried it just because I wanted to see if I could actually be better at something else,
So you're
and
definitely
it
competitive. Like you
worked.
were looking for the event that you could be the best at, like from the beginning.
Yeah, but also that I liked. So when I learned
Hmm.
about memorization tricks and stuff, I did resonate with this. Like I liked that. I won't do it if I hate it or if I'm like, yeah, it's boring, but I can be the best. No, no. I actually
Hmm.
need to have that connection to make it work.
Hmm. So this is super interesting to me because in Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
you did something similar. I didn't see your like finals placements, but I did a little like my TCG game knowledge is very limited. I have wide
Okay.
knowledge of like general board games, but you're gonna have to help
Okay.
me on specifics of TCG stuff. But
Sure,
like you
sure.
got
Whatever you
all the
need.
way to the top of the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and cubing stuff, at least for a time. Like you had a sharp peak in both, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Um, what skills from cubing helped to improve at Yu-Gi-Oh? Like what were the crossovers in terms of like how you
Um,
got better at the discipline, how you grew?
I think the idea at first for me, Yu-Gi-Oh was a way to still stimulate and use my brain in something that is fun, but that it could help me rest my hands.
Hmm.
Because right now, in my age, if I try to do an average of 200, I cannot.
Okay.
So whenever my hands were too tired, I was like, okay, I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh because I can still do some mental exercise while I don't need this. I don't need 10 TPS or something. So and I like that. So how can I say this? The first thing that I noticed is mental agility, like the ability of thinking fast. Because in cubing everything is it's a countdown, there is a timer. You gotta think as fast as possible,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
memorization fast, like do the alpha fast. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, they are usually like at a lower pace because every player takes their time to think. Like they're like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm gonna analyze the board state. You have this interruption. You have that resource. I have this. Thinking. Okay, I'm gonna do this action. And thinking fast, I think it helped because most of the people there don't do that. And also it helps because there are different play styles of the game. There are how can I say this, strategies or archetypes or just cards that work better if you think fast, because there are a lot of options, a lot of freedom to combo, to interact, to have different synergy between cards. And if you can think fast, then it's gonna be good. A lot of people avoid certain strategies just because it takes too much time, and they're like,
Hmm.
okay, if I play that deck, I'm gonna play my turn in 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna run out of time, and that's gonna be
Yeah.
bad. But
Yeah.
if I can do that in 5 minutes, then it's not a disadvantage for me. That's also
S-
how I see it.
That's so interesting. So I saw a little bit about how you kind of had like a new deck archetype that you kind of like pioneered and then you coached Pack on using it in the championship series.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
Inferno.
that did that deck fit into that archetype where it was like
Yeah,
lots of moves
yeah,
per turn, required fast processing power?
yeah. Like you have a lot of freestyle capability. Like in Cubing, there is not that much. Like sometimes you can improvise breaking cycles differently. Like I'm talking about mine. You can improvise a new floating comb if you don't know it, but you can see where are the pieces and you know the commutator's theory. But there is not that much improv, yeah, at the moment of doing a solve. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's there is everything. It has everything to do with improv, to improvise. Like you have a different board game. Your opponent have an interruption, and they are gonna use it on an awkward spot, in a spot that nobody ever interrupted you before. So you have to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so there is a lot of improv, and I think thinking fast, like okay, if this happens, I can do these four things, and then you just know which one of the four makes more sense, and you can do it in less seconds instead of being okay. I need a lot of time to think. Yeah, the faster you can do it, the
Mm-hmm.
better.
Yeah. Huh. That's
And
super
Infernoble
cool.
is just that. Infernoble is a lot of options. Like there is linear combos or linear ways to play it, but you improve your win rate if you know the non-linear.
Yeah. Huh. That's really, really cool. That the like a different way of thinking yet allows you to unlock like a new archetype or a new play style.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Like
love
there
that.
are playstyles that you don't need that much time, like that you just like set five cards pass, and then your opponent is the one trying to waste time thinking, and then for you it's really easy, like okay, I'm gonna flip one card and that's it.
Yeah.
Like there are ways to take it slower. It has a lot of skill yet. Like you still need to know when to use it, but you don't have to do a lot of actions.
Yeah. That's super interesting. To switch gears here, you mentioned that you had like a clear peak with blind solving, and now you're kind of working back toward it. What did your practice routine look like leading up to the peak and now? I remember you saying in some video that you started learning three style very early because you had world record in your sights very early. And so you knew I have to learn this, so I might as well start early. So I assume you were like very regimented from the beginning, but like what did your practice look like? How much did you practice a day, a week? How'd you set those goals? Like,
So I was not that organized back in the day. I just tried to use every free time that I could into blind, and I think I was naturally good at taking the right paths. Like not like I didn't have a game plan of okay, this is my weak spot. I gotta improve on my corners. I just felt. I just knew okay, I'm doing slow this part of my solves. Then that's where I should practice. But it was more intuitive. Um, so I think what it worked for me back then is that I had way more free time than I have now, and also my hands were more like uh, children hands. I think I could
yeah,
do a countless solve without getting uh, pain or without getting slower or my coordination not failing. And also I slept more hours than currently. Like currently I could sleep sometimes 6, 7 hours, but back in the day I think I was 8 or more every day, and I'm pretty sure that helps as well.
interesting. So like time wise, how many hours a day do you think you were practicing when you were like in that really heavy grind season?
Um, like I think between 2 and 4 in average. Sometimes I had my peaks of 8, or maybe 10. Like for example, when I had my flights from Peru to China, yeah, I probably solved cubes more than I was. I don't know.
That's
As long as I
crazy.
was awake, I was
People
solving
sitting
cubes.
next to you must have really enjoyed that.
No, usually
Um,
when I solve blind fast, I can impress anybody, but only for a few minutes.
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
could be impressed, they could record the phone, they could try to start a conversation, but then after 10 minutes, if I keep practicing, then okay, it's normal now.
hmm
And then it's
Um,
annoying in the plane. People
yeah,
want to sleep,
that's
and
what I was more
yeah,
saying it as a joke. Like they probably got annoyed after a certain point.
yeah,
Um,
that's how it goes.
so did you care when you broke the mean world record? Or was the single the one that you really cared about? Like, did they both hold weight, or did the single feel like more important?
uh, no, no, they both felt equally for me, equally
Okay.
as weighted. Like, yeah, yeah. But it did happen that when I break my second world record, I was more emotionally invested. I think I even cried of joy. And that didn't happen in the first or the third one, only in the second
Hmm.
one. Yeah,
Why is that? Like
weird.
I was curious how it felt breaking the record. Like was there a letdown after you broke the record? Like I've worked toward it and now the goal is gone, or was it like, okay, I'm on top and now I got to work hard to stay here? What were the emotions like after you got the record?
Ah, like let's say the first one, I was like, I need to keep practicing because I barely broke it. Like I broke it by
Mm.
point 0.2, I think. So if I don't keep improving it, they are gonna take it back. And that's what happened. My first world record, I think it only lasted 2 weeks. Yeah.
Hmm. What
So
so
yeah, I
when
didn't
you
feel
lost the record, that
confident.
was very expected. It wasn't like, "Oh, man, that came out of nowhere." It was just kind of like, "Okay,
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
I made it." Okay.
It was a matter of time. I knew I had to take it back. Yeah, because they were going to take it again.
Hmm. Are there any things you miss about being a newer cuber or a younger cuber, a less skilled cuber? You've mentioned like your hands and being able to cube for a long time. Are there any things about like the early stages of cubing where you were still learning, you weren't as established, you didn't have the brand that you just kind of like, that was fun. I wish I could go back to that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's not something about the skill, it's about the experience. Like I remember
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of mystery or how can I say it? Some magic about going into an event, being unknown, just hopefully trying to get a podium, not knowing how everything worked. Like, okay, why are these people behind? What does it mean to be a scrambler? Like so many doubts. Like I think that was cool, but because right now my view is totally different. Like I feel like I know everything
Mm-hmm.
when some an event is happening. Like okay, I know people are gonna reach out to me. They are gonna ask for pictures. I know I have these results. Like right now, everything is so much more expected, and I
Yeah.
like the fact of not knowing something.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, that the first competition, just the awe of like, wow, there are other people here who do this too, and I can meet all of them and go through this whole fun thing. You definitely do lose that. What about
Yeah,
flip
yeah.
side? At this point, as an established cuber, are there things about the hobby or the discipline that it's like, I'm really enjoying this now in a way that I didn't get to as a new cuber?
Yeah, I think right now the upsides would be that I if I want to improve at something, like I have more tools. I have like my way of thinking right now is not uh, totally different from before. It is better than before. It is before,
Mm-hmm.
but with more life experience. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's better. Like if I could put this brain into the 16-year-old that was starting, I would. Like I
Yeah.
would like to
Yeah.
to also have these upsides of knowing, okay, I could improve doing this that much time. I could improve doing this alt, ignore these bad alts. Um, about what else can I tell you about? The upsides would be that also before I never saw cubing as a way to earn money. It was only a
Mm-hmm.
hobby, but then I am glad that I can actually do something good for the community through the passion that I have on this.
Yeah.
So I think
That's
that's also
awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that it is working that way right now.
Yeah. When you were learning up and coming, who were some of the people you looked up to in cubing? Who were the people you were like, I like their solves or I like their content or they motivated you, something like that?
So I don't have a clear person like that. Like I remember watching videos about a Spanish YouTuber called The Maoisha, and I liked some of his videos, but I didn't have too much of a role model, to be honest with you. Uh, like, of course, I knew Felix, but I didn't have something like someone like I want to be like well, like them, like him. Not much that I can remember.
Mm,
That I could look up to. Yeah, I wish,
gotcha.
I wish. But for example, the first time that I saw somebody doing blindfolded, I don't even remember who I saw. I maybe it was Marcel Landry, 28 seconds old, but maybe not. I'm not sure even about that.
Okay. Um, you just a second ago, you said, I wish I could take my brain and put it back in the 16-year-old's head. What's a big thing that you like believe about cubing or now you've learned about cubing that is very different from what you thought, let's say, before you had your world record?
Which, I don't know. Let's see. Something that changed my belief, something that right now is different. Probably right now, the first thing that comes to my mind is probably not the most important. It was just the first thing, the finger tricks. Like back in the day, it was unthinkable to do SS prime. Like when I first started, and I think also it was because the cubing hardware didn't allow you to think of doing this because it was not fast enough. That's something that totally changed with times, and also now I know this is a possibility. Yeah,
Hmm.
back in the day
Yeah.
it was not.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
yeah, what else? Probably also the alps. Like there was a lot of times that I learned a new alp, and I had no idea it was bad or there was a better option.
mhm.
Yeah, like
Was full.
nowadays. Sorry, I can't. Nowadays,
Go
if
go.
find a new com or a new alp, I would be surprised because I have so much time and experience knowing alps that if something new appeared that it wasn't in my radar, I'm gonna be surprised and I'm gonna be glad that hey, it's not solved everything yet. Yeah,
Hmm.
like
Hmm. Was full floating around when you started, or was that kind of like a concept that nobody thought would be practical?
when I started, that was all that I was doing. I think also said this at some point at some podcast that I had no idea that breaking cycle was a thing. A cycle break was a thing. So because of my bad guide, and also I just had to self taught me a lot of things, like a be a self learner. Yeah, so floating comes was the norm. It was the usual. Like I didn't know I could choose my solve piece and move it someone
That's
else,
so
somewhere
crazy.
else.
What? You just wow. So from the day you
Yeah,
started three style, you just like jumped right into that. Just because you thought
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how you had
Because
to do it. Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was the way. Like I know the theory. I can create comps, so I have to do a comps from every time that I have a solve buffer. I gotta keep doing this in different buffers. Yeah.
Wow. So you went like full optimal from day one. That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, but I mean, not optimal because a lot of the ideas that I had were pretty bad. Like I could do a double rotation or three move setup and think a lot of seconds in that just to accomplish that.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. I like it kept improving over time. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
I remember that I surprised the first time that I learned that what I was doing was not usual was the US National 2016, I believe when I went to USA for the first time that I went for a competition, and I met Ishan Agrawal, the best pre-blinder in that moment. At some point, he did a world record, and and we were discussing, and I think that's where I learned that a lot of people cycle break, and also for parity that a lot of people do something called two swap that I had no idea. I also thought that full parity was the only way to do it. Like you have now two corners, you have now two edges, you need to solve them. I didn't think about doing an extra alg, so you have an easier case.
Huh. That's so cool though that you just like absolutely full forced it intuitively from the beginning. Um, so this is horrible, but I did not realize that you and Juan Pablo were siblings until I did my research for this. Like I had no idea until
Huh.
yesterday that you guys were
That's
related.
funny.
Um, who discovered cubing first between the two of you?
I discovered cubing and he discovered speed cubing. So I was the first that
Okay.
brought this into the table and yeah, let's solve it. I probably didn't time it. And he was the first that, hey, there is something called a Friedrich method or CFO.
Hmm.
And there are better algos to improve. And he kept telling me that for like a month because at first I didn't care too much about speed. And then I was like, okay, okay, show me Friedrich. Now I want to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Um, are you guys still close or like are you guys still friends?
Uh, Yeah, yeah. I mean, right
Yeah.
now we don't live together, but we see each other like every week,
Okay.
sometimes like twice a
That's
week.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so with him being with you guys both cubing a lot, um, what things did you guys like help each other do better since you guys were around a lot?
Mm,
The only other sibling pair I can think of is Sebastian and Philip Fire, that are
yeah,
at
me
like a
too.
high level in cubing. Um, so I'm really curious what you think that helped you do. What kind of advantages that might have given you.
I think it was focus. Like if at some point you were tired or you were going to play another video game, but you saw your brother that he was grinding, then you wanna get back to grind, even if it was different events.
Mm-hmm.
And also we were improving at the same rate in terms of world rankings.
Mm,
Like by the time that I made my first world record, I think he was second in the world, and he also
okay.
had a chance at the world record that he missed. So over the time, like when one was doing a CR, the other one was aiming for the same. So yeah, that was good.
That's really
Hmm.
cool that even though you were in different events, like the achievements were coming at a similar speed.
Yeah, kind of.
Um,
I mean, at some point he surpassed me by far, and he did a lot more
yeah,
world records. I think also it was because he didn't have that much competition.
he was very ahead of his time for the events that he was
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the event that he was in. Um, I'm curious about your experience in some of the spectator events that you did. You briefly talked about the Peru Got Talent thing, but what was your experience like on the show in China? Because like at this point, China is very far ahead of the West in terms of how they view
Yeah,
cubing and like the events they have and the
totally.
audience they have for it. You were there like way earlier on before they had kind of exploded. How did you get invited onto that show in China? First off,
Felix. So
Felix?
the first, so it was like, I'm gonna tell you the story of from my point of view. That's even funnier. I'm
Okay.
doing my things. I receive an email in my spam, and I almost never check my spam. I don't know why that day I checked that, and it says the brain China, like the subject. And then I read a lot of sentences that they were saying you could, yeah, we have this opportunity. We want you to be part of this program. I thought it was a scam or it was a, I don't know, a fake news. Yeah, it was a lie. I didn't believe
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then they told me that Felix recommended me, so I went and talked to Felix, and he told me that it was true. And then I actually believed in this. So for this was in
Cool.
2016,
Okay.
and I met Felix in 2015. He came to my country, and we hang out a bit because I was one of the few Cubers that was high level and also have a good ability to speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was easier for me to establish a connection with him and Antoine Cantin and Jaden McNeil that they also came to Peru. And then, like a month later, we saw each other again in Brazil in my first World Championship that I attended. So we bonded, I think, good. The idea is that China told them, okay, we have a TV show, we want you there, but you need to have a partner, preferably the same age and being good, really good at blind, and cannot be Chinese because you are going to compete against Chinese. So
Mm.
after that description, I was the first guy that appeared in his head. I think. I think also because he knew I won Peru Got Talent, so he knew I had TV experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So you get an email, think it's a joke. Felix is like, no, no,
yeah,
no, I recommended you. Please say yes to this. You say yes.
yeah.
What happened next? Like, how long was it from then to when you went? Did you know what you were going to be doing going into the show?
So they told, no, no, no. It was a lot of mysteries. There was like, okay, okay, now we're going to go to your country and record some videos, do a montage, a photo shooting, etc. So they come here, let's say in January or December 2015 or January 2016. We do the montage, and there is also a fun experience. We have something called Machu Picchu. I think it was like a
Hmm.
wonderland, something like that. And we went there to do some shootings in some illegal places that they didn't get the permission to do, and we had to do all sort of funny stuff. Like they gave me the USB or the memory, and I had to run into a different direction. Then the guards
Good grief.
trapped the Chinese people, and they were searching for the memory, and they didn't have it, so they have to let them go. like escaped from the place with the memory. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I think I
crazy.
got banned from that place after that. Like I haven't been to Machu Picchu since that incident. So I don't know if I
My
can go
goodness.
again.
That's
I'm
crazy.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Uh, but then so that was January. Then we go to March, April, where the rain happens. So I go to China. I don't remember exactly when did they told us how was going to be the challenge. They just told me to practice blind and multi-blind because that could come up. And I think it was in China where they actually revealed the challenge to us. And we had like probably 4 days or 1 week to practice. And the challenge, I don't know if you saw it, was I gotta do multi of three. Felix gotta do a relay of 4 cubes. Cube, fire, 2x2, and 2x3. I don't remember. Yeah, I think so. And we are competing against two Chinese cubers, Xia Liping and Xia Wang. I believe. No, no, Xia Liping and Wang Yihao. Yeah, two Chinese cubers that they were also doing the same. So we practiced, we locked in, like practicing the whole day when we were not shooting stuff for the show. Like they had us do, we had to go there and spend some hours with pictures, photos, videos, interviews, whatever. And then every free time that we had, practice, practice, practice.
When did you find out about the underwater solving thing? Was that a last minute, like you
Ah,
found out after you advanced, or?
yeah, yeah. So we won the challenge, and that day after we won, they tell me, okay, you are the more impressive guy out of the whole day, so you move on to the next challenge. Then like later next day, okay, we have some options. You could do it on a roller coaster. You could do it on an astronaut chair that moves in every direction,
Mm-hmm.
or you could do it underwater and maybe some other option that I don't remember. And underwater was the most feasible, doable to do on a TV show set. So they gave me 2 weeks. Okay, in 2 weeks we're gonna shoot the final because we gotta gather the rest of the participants.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 weeks, just I had a swimming pool available for all day long, so I could go and train like 8 hours or 12 hours. I just trained every day for 2 weeks in
Gotcha.
swimming and also holding my breath while solving cubes. Yeah,
So you spent how many, like 3 weeks in China for this show?
yeah, almost a month. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Um, hmm. So you've been on a few of these big shows. You've competed at a lot of competitions for a long time. You've also been high up in Yu-Gi-Oh, so you've seen like a variety of different ways all this stuff works. Um, what are some of the ways you think like the current competitive cubing scene could learn from these events you've been part of or Yu-Gi-Oh? Like what are some of the things you've experienced in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh where it's like, "Oh, this way it's set up, this thing in the competitions, this type of content, whatever it is. I would love to see more of this come up in cubing."
I see. I think I mean, some big difference is that in cubing, you gotta find your own means to go to a world event, and it's open. And when I went to Worlds in Yu-Gi-Oh this year, we were only 36 people competing, and the company Konami was paying us everything: the trip, the meals, the hotel, the taxis, everything,
Hmm.
and it was all covered. And we were just like few people. It was like being in the final already. Yeah. And I think the difference is how the organization choose to move the money. I think the WCA, the guys that say that put those conditions, as opposed to Konami, which Konami had been a private company, they put their conditions. They are the ones that say we are gonna have these cards at this price. Cubing, WCA doesn't have their own brand cubes that you gotta use the WCA cube. They give you freedom to use any brand you want. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying the difference. Like at Konami, for example, you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, you cannot play a Lorcana card, a Pokemon card. It gotta be their own company product. Yeah. And then if you compete good enough at Worlds, if you qualify for Worlds, this is what we are going to do. And that's how they manage. their own way of how can you compete there in
Hmm.
their own e-sport, or I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. You see more of that with the competitions that GAN is putting on in China, where because they make the cube, they
Yeah,
will
you
fly
gotta
the
use
competitors
gun.
out to it, and then the
Yeah,
competition
yeah,
advertises their. So that ecosystem is similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, where they'll pay for people to
yeah,
come out
true.
and compete in their invitational. But yeah, with the
I think
WCA, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think it's the what they are trying to achieve. Like we know the WCA vision, like they want to do this more democratically. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, like of course that's something that you gotta invest your money if you want to play the card game. Um, so I think that's a clear difference. Also, they are doing it because it's just an investment. Like they are not doing it because they are nice, because we want to reward you for your effort. No, no. We put this money in your flights, in the event, in the organization, the stream, whatever. We get back more money because we're incentivizing people to play the game because they aspire to get to that stage. What are they going to do? Keep buying the cards, keep going to the events. I think I heard somebody say that some of the Yu-Gi-Oh events are negative profit. Like when they organize the YCS, sometimes they lose money because they are just investing. So people have a reason to buy cards and play the game.
Hmm.
Like they are creating the necessity per se. Yeah, that's how it's work. I think that's how they view it. It's just an investment, and
Oh, I
I
totally
think it's
believe
working
that.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, if everybody
and
who
in cubing,
watches the yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry. And as you know, in queuing is not like that. They actually just wanna reward the ones that are putting the most effort, that are following the rules and are showing the best ability, the best skill, at the world event. But also in queuing we have world records. In Yu-Gi-Oh there is no such thing.
Hmm.
There is only the championships. I think in a lot of events, like for example in I don't know boxing, there is no world record of boxing. There is just championships. A lot of things, a lot of sports or disciplines, there are more events where one can be a champion than events where you can break a record.
Do you think cubing should shift in the championship direction, or do you think the world record thing is like sustainable?
I would love to see cubing become more professional. And I think that I saw some of your videos and you were having some very, very valid points. Like if they start moving more money, they can use it like, how can I say this? They could probably put the money where it should go. They could probably incentivize people in a better way. And like the thing about record and championship, like I've been having some philosophical thought about that for a lot of years. Like, what do I value more? For example, I value more having the world record or championship. Right now, I would value more a world championship because I did three world records, for
Hmm.
example. But for a lot of people, they are like, no, no, a world record is that you are the best in the entire planet at some point in time. Championship, you were just the best among some people that could afford to go there. Again, at some point in time. So, like for example, how worth is a world championship title where you did? I want to talk about three blind. You did 25 seconds and you won worlds, but the world record in that moment was 20. So yeah, you won worlds, but you didn't do the best that anybody could do. What about if the best one, the world record holder, didn't participate there? You won't feel as fulfilled. But if things go right, if the best could have more means to go, then that variable could not exist, you know?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure how if there is a correct answer about what value more, but I do think that championship have benefits. Championship have a real way to celebrate something. Like what if a world record is so good that nobody breaks it in 20 years? 20 years of no rewards. But a
Yeah.
championship, a reward is gonna happen, yes or yes. Yes.
Yeah, it removes any uncertainty from there being a new turnover or a new award or a new event that people can talk about or get excited about. It's just no matter what, this
Yeah,
year
yeah,
there's
and
going to
as
be
you said,
somebody that gets the trophy.
the idea is to have storylines, to have people talking about it. Like I also follow a lot of things of the rap community, like people that do rhymes and do like battles of insulting each other with rhymes in
Yeah.
Spanish. I really like because I think that's a lot of mental agility when they do it correctly. Like they're thinking a lot of ideas and they are putting them together in a really cool way. So I like that sometimes. And when I see that, there are people that talk, okay, how can we make rap grow? And it's just the storytelling. We gotta have heroes, villains. We gotta have clash. We gotta have in Spanish they say lore, and we gotta have things that excite people. We gotta create emotion so it can become more spectator. Yeah, and in cubing, if we get more of that, then we can get more eyes, and more eyes, more attention. That's how, as you said in other videos, we can get more, I don't know, sponsors or money flowing around, incentivizing
Yeah.
people.
It's a whole complicated problem, but there's a lot of different ways you can attack it.
Yeah, a
So
lot of
I
ways.
have two last questions for you, but before I go there, are there any things that you want to mention, say, ask that I haven't talked about yet?
Yeah. I would like to know, for example, what do you think people value more when they try to learn the Rubik's Cube? Like, let's say a child and then let's say an adult. Two different profiles of people that could consume cubing, and what would they value more in cubing?
Value how? Like, can you explain what you mean when you say value?
Yeah, value like if I'm gonna spend my time, my energy, and maybe my parent money if it's a kid in cubing, okay, what do I value there? Why am I doing that? And then an
Hmm.
adult as well. Why am I going to that direction?
Yeah.
What do you think are the
Um,
motives, the common
what are
motives?
what are the common motives? That's a really good question. So I'll start with kids. With kids, um, there is this innate desire in kids where they want to like prove they can do it. So if you
Yeah,
hang around kids at all, there's this really consistent, no, let go. I can do it myself. I don't need you, mom. I can tie my shoes. I can do this thing without your help. I'm a big girl. I'm a big boy. And cubing is a
yeah, that's
thing
true.
where if a kid sees a problem, they're just like, I want to figure this out. I want to conquer it. That was one of my biggest reasons was I want to conquer a problem. Another really common reason for kids and adults that I've seen is that there's just something innately appealing about the puzzle. Like there are people who are drawn to puzzles. If you set, one of those toys that's like pieces that are locked together and you have to like twist it and pull them apart. If you set it on
Yeah,
a
yeah, I
table, there
know.
are some people it's just like they have to pick it up and try and figure it out. If you put a crossword puzzle out, they just have to pick it up and look at it. And the cube falls into that category for a lot of people, where just the joy of figuring out the puzzle is enough for them, right? So I think on your first solve, it's basically either the desire to prove that you can or the desire to solve a puzzle. Um, the last one is something that you alluded to with your friends at school, and it's this feeling of, I want to prove that I'm better. Because there's
Yeah,
something about it that's kind of a symbol of, I'm smart, I can do a thing. And so there are definitely people, including me, where it's like, if I can do this, I'm awesome. Like, I'm better than my mom who can't do this thing. Um,
yeah,
so why would you want to get faster then? Because that's what you and I have spent like a lot of our life doing is solving faster. For myself, just competition in and of itself, the feeling of ranking up, of watching my place on a leaderboard get better, that is probably the single biggest thing that's ever like driven me in anything, school, working out, business, cubing, friends, everything. Winning, that feeling is amazing. And so that drives a lot of people. For a lot of people, it's just the process of improvement. So I have one friend where he says, every hobby that I do, I want to do hobbies where I can learn something. And it doesn't have to be against anyone. I just like the feeling of doing better. So, like, if I'm juggling, if I can add a fourth ball into my juggling, that feels amazing. I don't have to be beating
yeah.
anyone at juggling, but like, I improved. And just that feeling of improve innately is really satisfying. Um, but I think when you get into speed cubing, it kind of falls into either the feeling of improvement for its own sake or the feeling of I'm ranking up.
I
For
think it's
me,
both a
it's
little bit.
totally
It could
both.
be could be
But
mixed. Yeah,
people lean one of those two ways though. I lean
Yeah.
very strongly toward the competing side, but I love the constant improvement feeling. I know some people, like I was talking to Dylan Miller a couple days
Yeah.
ago. He said, I didn't know world rankings existed until I was top 20. And I was like, what? Like he likes the competition, but he was so focused on improve, 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 improve. Then he was like, oh, wait, now I'm also better than a lot of people. So they're linked, but people bias toward one or the other. So I
Yeah,
think
that's true. That's true.
that's how I would break all that
Um,
stuff down.
I want to link that with the previous topic. That has a lot of relation with record or championship. Like
Hmm.
in a ranking, you could also measure against yourself, but in a championship, there is no such thing. Like you just competing against others
That's a really good point. One of them
because
appeals to
nobody.
people who are, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, like in championship, it's hard to say. Okay, in this championship, I ended in ninth, but in the previous, I ended 15th, so I'm improving. That's really hard to see. Most people just see how they did against others in the same event in the
Hmm.
championship.
That is such a good point. And I think most cubers fall into the improvement category, not the competitive one. The reason being,
Yeah,
two things. Like the nature of cubing is a very clear, like your time is dropping, you can see your improvement thing. And the other is that our competitive structure is not really set up to be you're beating other people. It's set up to be
yeah.
like, are you improving on your own? And so whoever is involved in cubing is almost certainly like more about I'm improving for the sake of improvement. And competition is cool, but it's more about am I beating myself?
Now, which one of the two would help cubing grow more?
Um, I think the if by cubing you mean amount of people who discover the cube, it would be self improvement because that's what most people start with. It's I have a cube in
Yeah,
my bedroom. I want to go from 5 minutes to 1 minute. If you mean the sport of cubing where people can push the discipline to the highest level, it has to be competing against others.
yeah,
There's
that's
something
true.
about humans and animals, anything living, that you just unlock new areas of strength and skill when you're competing against or on a team with others. There's this really
Yeah, that's true.
great
That's true.
this really great example that I like where I have struggled to find multiple sources for this, but there was this farm where they put horses in this test where they were like, how much weight can a horse pull if they hook a horse up to a sled of weight? And one horse could pull a certain amount of weight. And when they put two horses together, it didn't double how much weight they could pull, it 5x'd how much weight they could pull. Like working on a team was not like two people equals twice the output. It was two people
It's
equals
way
five
more.
times the output. So I think with competition, the same thing happens where in any arena, in sporting, in mental things, in business, in relationships, we're wired to compare and improve. And there are vices to that. There's always downsides and dark sides to like, am I better than or worse than others? But it's what works. It's what gets stuff done.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what improves people. So I think if you want to
I
grow
heard
cubing, you need to lean into that.
I heard somebody talking about this, the sports, like the racing cars,
Hmm.
that thanks to Formula One or those racing sports, people develop more security measures. And then those security measures help in just normal cars for normal people.
Hmm. Yes, that's another thing is
Like they
most
develop
of
more.
most of cubing's growth so far has been grow the casual community and that trickles up to the competitive people, right? Like the more casuals we get, the more people invest in cubing and then want to compete. But like what you just said, if you flip it and you make the competitive scene really, really good, that can flow back and grow the other side more effectively because now the people who are really committed have something to commit to. And new people come in and they have something to aspire to. Whereas if you flip it, new people come in and they don't have something to aspire to, and eventually they kind of grow out of the system and they can't stick around.
That's true. That's true. Growing out of this, that's a really nice sentence. Yeah. Yeah. You just grow and out of the system because there is nothing else that is gonna help you keep your time and your effort there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why with the content that I make and all the stuff that I have planned, I want it to be focused on older people because cubing historically hasn't done that very well. And there's, I
That's
think,
true.
a lot of people who are our age and older who are interested in cubing, would enjoy watching stuff about it, learning stuff about it. Those are the people who could spend money on products. Those are the people who advertisers would pay to get in front of. So somebody has to get out there and start making stuff for that audience. And if over a few years we can grow that audience, now we have somewhere where we can start thinking, how can we support more people to be really, really good at cubing? How can we enable people to tell the stories more deeply about people like you who have spent a lot of their life getting really, really good at this skill? Like, I've enjoyed this conversation so much, and there's a ton of
Yeah, me too.
people in the cubing community who are like you, where it's like, I have all these cool stories and all this background in cubing, and it'd be really cool to have people who can just focus on highlighting those, telling those stories. All of that takes an
Yeah,
audience who's willing to watch and has a little bit of money, so that we have a few people who can just put their energy into it and get paid to do it.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. I don't know if there was a. I mean, the last thing that we said, you were telling me if I wanted to ask you something, but then you had
Yeah.
like something else you wanted to ask me.
Yeah, I have two last questions for you.
Yeah.
Um, the first one is, what aspect of cubing gives you the deepest joy? I'll leave it open ended. It can be whatever you want.
Hmm.
But what about
Like if I
cubing is
gotta
like,
commit to just one um aspect of cubing that gives me joy, it gives me joy finding solutions. Yeah. It happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! When I find a way to win a game that was unwinnable, or find a combo that was not doable. With these cards, I can produce this end board. And in cubing, when I find um, the alpha that I was looking for, when I find, okay, I have this scramble. I've already looked this scramble 10 different ways. Okay, I found the way to execute it in less seconds. Because in blind, the scrambles are more set in stone than in 3 by 3 normal. Like you have to move the pieces in one specific way most of the time. Or if I found the way of, I don't know, how to improve my, how can I say, my memo. Okay, now I finally develop a technique so I can memo faster. Uh, what brings me joy is, yeah, finding something new, preferably that came on my own, that nobody came. Okay, okay, you should do this. I mean that helps, and I love to receive help. Nowadays, it's really hard to receive external help because of the amount of things that I know. But when I found a new solution to a small problem, I like that. I like that way more than I break my PB. Yeah,
yeah,
or I won an event. Like I could go and won a local event, and I don't care about it. And I don't mean to disrespect people that actually care about it, but it's not moving my heart. Uh, yeah,
hmm, that's beautiful. And it matches with what you've done in cubing. You picked like full floating three style and intuitively solved thousands of commutators and like figured out little solutions to little problems over and over and over again for all of your initial growth in cubing, which is exactly what you just said. So
yeah,
then, last thing, this is a weekly show actually, so I'm gonna do a bunch of these interviews and post one each week. And at
that's
the
good.
end, I'm going to have everybody leave a question for the next person who's going to be on the show. So last, I had
Hey,
talked to Dylan Miller, and Dylan said, "I want you to ask the next person when they practice, do they listen to any videos, music in the background, and if so, what sort of genre or what videos or music?"
okay, okay. I have to. So for a lot of time, I think probably from my beginning, there was this one video that I really liked. And right now, when I put it, it brings me back to the old days, like when everything was magical mystery, and that's why I put it. I every time that I want to search it, I just put Peruvic, like Peru, Rubik together, Peruvic,
Hmm.
and it is a video where the portrait, like the picture is Rachel Regenbach, a female speedkeeper that was really good back in the day, and she appears in a white black screen. I can send you the link if you want.
Yeah,
And
do that.
it's just like three songs in a row with a montage of people queuing the whole time, and it's really cool. Like it brings me back to those days where I liked how I saw the Peruvian community at the beginning. I think
Hmm.
at some point in the middle of the video there is the first sub 10 in Peru, that was really nice in art, which people celebrated, and it matches with the peak part of the second song. I love that video. And then the third song in that video is like a let down sad song where people are doing a lot of fails and pops. It's really really funny. So yeah, whenever I put it, at first I put it and I was trying to do a solve before the video ended because it was 9 to 10 minutes. So when my blind solves were that time, that was aiming. Okay, I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna end my solve before the
Yeah.
video ended. Nowadays, I just put it and do a lot of solves during the whole video, but it motivates me a lot.
Hmm. Cool.
Like, and recently, let's say 2 days ago, I find this soundtrack that also motivate me a lot. What happens when I was at the Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship? We were competing in a team event, three v three. So I was sitting next to my teammates, and we were in a big room with all the other 11 teams. We were 12 teams. So we put headphones. It was like the one that we use in blind, where it
The
prevent
noise
noises.
canceling. Yeah.
Yeah, not canceling earmuffs. I don't know how to say it, but it has also like a small device like this, so they could put us the background music. It was a canceling noise, but at the same time, it has music, and it has we had how can I say this the
Microphones.
um yeah, the microphones. I forget basic words. The microphones, so we can speak to each other, but it had a lot of noise, so we cannot hear anybody else. Not white noise. It was a song, Yu-Gi-Oh soundtrack song. So every time that we start a duel, that song started, and I didn't realize it. But that song right now put me at my peak because when I was in that event, and that was in end of August this year, I was in the zone. Like I was there, and at Yu-Gi-Oh, I am not as good as I'm at cubing, and I knew a lot of big names. I knew there was world champions that I was going to face, so I knew I had to be in the zone. So when that music happens, and I was getting locked in, and I actually won. I ended up fifth, and I won like a two world champions that I beat, and I also beat the number one in the world ranking. So I did a good run, even though we didn't qualify. I beat a lot of good
Yeah.
names. So when that happens, and I was in the zone, I was listening to this background music. So right now, I found the music, a video of also like 9 minutes of that music. I put it, and I feel like I'm there. I'm doing the best performance of my life
Yeah.
in Yugi, but I'm also using it when I'm doing the Rubik's Cube, and I think it works. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like so
Dude,
those
that's
two
awesome.
songs, those two
Send me
videos.
both.
Yeah,
Send me both. I'll link them below the video. Cool.
yeah,
Dude,
sure.
thank you so much for your time. This was a really fun conversation.
Thanks. No, I like to talk about people that I feel that they like cubing, and especially if you like can understand a lot of the things where I'm coming from, because I like cubing, but I cannot spend a lot of hours in that. Like for example, as soon as we finish this, I gotta start doing some of the work that thank God is cubing related, but I'm not actually improving when I'm doing this work. I'm just helping other kids.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
hear
yeah,
you.
I like that you are doing this, even though I'm pretty sure you have a busy life. But yeah, I think it's cool. I think there are a lot of people that could also connect with this and maybe pick up on a new hobby or give cubing a fair shot. Not something that I'm gonna give up this forever because I'm too old.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, dude, thank you so much. Send me your question for the
Yeah.
next guest on Discord. Write it down,
Okay.
and I will give it to him on the next episode. But that's all I got for you. Thank you so much.